hello again. Shaboom, boom, again, boom again. Shong a dang dong, a die, a die, a whoop, big boom, shaboom, a day, oh, life could be a dream. Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello again. Shaboom, boom, boom, big boom, every time I look at you, one thing is on my mind. If you
What is it?
told me to,
Why?
this life could be so divine.
Okay. Yeah.
If I could take you up to paradise up above, you tell me, darling, I'm the only one that you love.
Yeah.
Life could be a dream, sweetheart.
Two.
Oh, me too. I wanna be like you.
What?
I wanna walk like you, talk like you.
I like it. Foolish man. I like my life.
Lock in, man. I'm watching. Better lock in. Probably missing Dan.
So lock in.
Don't tell anybody about it. Go.
I love the anthem, everybody. It's terrific. But you knew I loved the anthem, right?
morning. Welcome to the 2025 Appleby College Founders Chapel, a long-standing tradition where we celebrate the founding of this school and commemorate and remember those that have gone before us at the school and also those who will go after. And we have some special guests, which I will introduce near the end of the service. It's wonderful to have you here as well. Before I begin with the service, I'd like to do a bit of an extended land acknowledgement and frame it in the context of what we're doing today with our Founders Service. So today, as we gather to commemorate Founders Day and reflect on the founding of Appleby College, we recognize that long before Appleby's founding in 1911, these lands along the shores of Lake Ontario were home to Indigenous people whose history, cultures, and stewardship of the land spanned thousands of years. On Tuesday, we commemorated Orange Shirt Day and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a time when Canadians honor the children who were taken from their families and placed in residential schools, many of whom never returned home. That orange shirt that we wore reminds us that every child matters. Appleby College itself stands on the land governed by Treaty 14, the head of the Lake Purchase, signed in 1806. This treaty, like many others, was shaped by colonial expansion and unequal power dynamics. Understanding its legacy is essential to recognizing our responsibilities to the Indigenous people who continue to care for this land. As a learning community, Appleby is committed to walking the path of reconciliation through education, reflection, and meaningful action. Founders Day is not only a celebration of our beginnings, but also an opportunity to acknowledge the deeper history of this land and those who have shaped it. In this spirit, we offer Appleby College's land acknowledgement. We at Appleby College acknowledge that these lands on the shores of Lake Ontario are steeped in Indigenous history. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe peoples. Most recently, it has been part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for being stewards of this traditional territory. Now, our service begins with some opening responses, not something we usually do. Just a little hint with this is one of the tricks with this when we speak individually but also as a community. We try to speak as one, so matching both tone and pace. I will begin with the light print. You're invited to respond with the bold print. Lord, you have been our refuge from one generation to another. For the mountains were brought forth, or the land and the earth were born. From age to age, you are God. Show your servants your works and your splendor to their children. May the graciousness of the Lord our God be upon us. Prosper the work of our hands. Prosper our handiwork. I'd like to invite forward our principal, Mr. Innes Van Nostrand, to talk about the founders of Appleby College.
Good morning, everyone. So good to see you on this fine, beautiful day, which we celebrate those who've gone before us. There's a wonderful sentiment that was actually first coined by Bernard of Chartres in the 12th century, but the more famous version of that was actually spoken by Isaac Newton in the 17th century. It said, if I can see further, it's because of standing on the shoulders of giants. And this morning, we spent some time talking about those who've gone before us. It's one of the reasons why we talk about the Huron-Wendat, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. It's why we're talking about the founders this morning. And it's also why, with great open arms and a sense of joy, we welcome back our alumni, both today, the 50-year club, and those who graduated before that time, but also this weekend on homecoming. Because in some ways, they're the giants on whose shoulders we all stand. Now, this is called the Founders Day Assembly, and I'm just delighted that in the program in front of you, you'll see two photos of the two men, the father-in-law and son-in-law, who co-founded Appleby College back in 1911. John Guest and his father-in-law, Sir Edmund Walker. And in some ways, if you think about the school's motto, nec timere nec timidi, these two gentlemen actually reflect that in some extraordinary ways. They're really two amazing, amazing men. The photos, I also think, capture a lot of the essence of their character and who they were. John Guest was the first headmaster of Appleby College and held this role for about 20 years, so he was my predecessor. But the school was a very different place back in 1911. Schoolhouse, what we now call Colley House, hadn't quite been finished before school opened. So in fact, John Guest was overseeing the work crews to try to get the construction done to start the school year. Beyond that, he was a remarkable man, an Englishman who came here. He had a physical disability. He had his hip fused as a young man because of illness. But he did everything at Appleby College for the first 2 decades. Not only did he oversee work crews, if the water pump was broken, he was the one who fixed it. He obviously taught. He played the keyboards at chapel. He gave the homily. He did all the admissions work, all the discipline work. He was responsible for the finances of the school. The reality is the first 20 years wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for him. We understand, and Dr. Carter is probably the foremost expert on the founders of Appleby College, we understand that John Guest was an extraordinarily thoughtful, principled man. He was earnest, he was diligent, he was hardworking. Not easy to befriend, but he was a man inspired by a sense of duty and commitment and a belief in young people and the power they could have in the world. His father-in-law, Sir Edmund Walker, was a very different kind of man. He was born in Canada. He was born on a farm just outside Caledonia, Ontario. His family had very little money. And so after middle school, after what we would call middle school, he was forced to leave school, to drop out, to actually go to work to earn wages to help the family survive. He started as a banking clerk, but through an extraordinary combination of business acumen, an understanding of the change the world was going through, and hard work, he actually became the president of the Bank of Commerce, one of the 2 founding banks of what we now know as CIBC. And in fact, it was through his work that what we now know as CIBC went from a very small regional bank to a huge national institution. He was the co-author of Canada's first Banking Act and clearly one of the great business leaders of Canada in its first half-century. Beyond that, though, he was extraordinary in many other ways, especially remembering that he was forced to drop out of school. He dreamed of being a teacher, and he had an ongoing sense of curiosity and passion about learning. He self-taught and became an amateur paleontologist. In fact, one of the great carnivores of the world, one of the great dinosaur carnivores of the world, is named after Sir Edmund Walker. He had a passion for Arctic exploration. He funded many of Shackleton's expeditions to the far north, and there's an island up in the Arctic archipelago named after Sir Edmund Walker. He had a passion for culture. He was a foremost expert on Japanese culture and art, and in fact, the Japanese government named him Honorary Consul General. He also had a passion for social justice, and we understand he was very supportive of the NAACP, which at the time was an early organization championing civil rights, especially for black people in the US. And perhaps his greatest passion was around education. He believed he was an extraordinarily patriotic Canadian, and he was worried about Canada's future, especially living next to the USA, which is interesting when you look at life today. And he was really passionate about the power and the importance of education. He chaired the University of Toronto when all the colleges federated to create U of T as we now know. He was involved with the Royal Conservatory of Music. He was one of the founders of the Art Gallery of Ontario, of the Royal Ontario Museum, of the National Gallery. He was extraordinary. But education was his passion. And I'm going to paraphrase him here. He would say, I would be pleased to give up my millions, all my fortune, if it meant that I could be responsible for the creation of a great national institution that would develop young people who would go forth and build this nation and have a commitment in every sense of the word to building a great Canada. And of course, our mission today is inspired by what Sir Edmund Walker talked about those many years ago. So at this moment, we take a moment to give pause and say thanks and express our gratitude for those who've gone before us. The fact that we are living today, our DNA as a community is based on those who've gone before and based on that dream of John Guest and Sir Edmund Walker. And I think it's safe to say that I believe we owe them an immense debt of gratitude. God only knows what we would be without them. Thank you.
A reading from the Rig Veda, a Hindu sacred text. Let us be united. Let us speak in harmony. Let our minds apprehend alike. Common be our prayer. Common be the end of our assembly. Common be our resolution. Common be our deliberations. Alike be our feelings. Unified be our hearts. Common be our intentions. Perfect be our unity. We are birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins. We may speak different languages. We may believe in different religions. We may belong to different cultures. Yet we share the same home, our Earth. Born on the same planet, covered by the same skies, gazing at the same stars, breathing the same air. We must learn to happily progress together or miserably perish together, for one can live individually but can only survive collectively.
A reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said, "Therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught us as one who had authority and not as teachers of the law.
Please stand and we'll sing hymn number 500, Sister, Let Me Be Your Servant. It is my great pleasure to welcome Nadja Gale, class of 2000, and as you'll find out, former chapel prefect, to return to Appleby College. Nadja is going to give our address today. Just a little bit of background about her. With over 15 years of experience in health regulation, policy development, and governance, Nadja is currently the Director of Governance and Strategy at the College of Midwives in Ontario. In this role, Nadja provides strategic leadership and direction to advance the public interest and safety in midwifery practice. With a background in political science and international development, NADJA's work has focused on fostering population health and well-being through injury prevention, social innovation, and public policy. NADJA serves on the board of North York Little Prince Daycares and volunteers at her son's school. Previously a longtime volunteer with Results Canada, committed to advocating for a world without poverty. An avid traveler and a fan of anything that is outdoors, NADJA loves spending time with her family and friends exploring new places, camping, skiing, and gardening. Please join me in welcoming NADJA Gale.
So I joked earlier that I certainly haven't grown in height since my time at Appleby, so I will use the stool today. Please bear with me. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. It was May 1997. I had just landed at Pearson International Airport, having flown from Johannesburg, South Africa, via Paris to what would become my new home. I was excited to be in Canada with a new adventure ahead and a chance to live in a more safe environment. However, as a teenager, I also felt gutted to have left my birthplace, my friends, my life, and post-apartheid South Africa. Over the next few months leading up to September, I applied, visited Appleby, and found out that I'd been accepted. We moved into a new house in Oakville. I visited my grandparents on the East Coast, and I slowly prepared for the start of the school year in a brand new city and country. Previously, I'd been used to the school year starting in January after a lengthy and fun summer holiday, Christmas break. It was time for a new uniform, new teachers, new routines, and hopefully, new friends. I would be entering grade 10. Not the easiest time to be changing schools and making new friends. But Appleby was certainly impressive, and I was particularly excited about a couple of things, including the fact that my new school had a dance studio, and I could take dance as its own subject. Plus, there was the chapel, which was familiar to what I grew up with. I was intrigued that there was boarding and that everyone boarded in their last year. Little did I know that in a few short months, in what felt like the deep midwinter, I would take a bus to Temagami with snow as far as the eye could see in every direction. We walked across frozen lakes on snowshoes and slept in a quincy, which we built by hand with the snow. I think I may still be warming up. And there were a few moments that cold night when I wondered, why was I there? And what had my parents done moving us to Canada? It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I can now fondly recall. It's funny the things we remember. Now, in 2025, the campus has grown, changed, and evolved. The curriculum and activities expanded. The chapel's still central to campus, with the lakes and fields a constant. It's a beautiful setting, inspiring to learn in, grow, play sports, challenge oneself, foster friendships, and serve the community. Strong roots and history serve to maintain Appleby as an impressive, one-of-a-kind private school. And yet, change and the people are what keep it meaningful. I mention this because my experience at Appleby ushered in many changes in my life, while also providing some continuity and experiences that prepared me for further change. It wasn't easy to integrate into a brand new school and community, but there was plenty to do. And at prize giving at the end of grade 10, I realized that I needed to seize the day. During my 3 years at Appleby, I was fortunate to go on exchange to Germany for a full term, to host exchange students, to attend the Round Square Conference in California, to play field hockey, tennis, and squash, squash being my personal favorite, even though I was one of only 2 girls who played on the team then, and we usually played against all male teams. It was character building, but I rarely won a game. I performed in a play and dance performances and enjoyed numerous round square activities, as well as other clubs and school events. The days, weeks, and months were full, engaging, and challenging. I realized, thanks to the teachers around me who provided the insight and coaching, that the potential to lead was real. I'm still proud to say that I became a prefect and head chapel warden in grade 12 after only 2 years at the school. I always appreciated the tradition of coming together in the chapel first thing in the morning on a daily basis for a few moments of calm and music before the day really got going. Although I admit it was an early start and sometimes hard to make it on time. The chapel was a place for students to share their thoughts in a chapel speech and showcase our house spirit. I belong to Walker House. Go Walker. Following graduation from Appleby, I headed to McGill to study political science and international development. I love Montreal, but what made my time at McGill was my participation in the International Relations Students Association of McGill, or IRSAM for short, a mouthful nonetheless. My diverse experience at Appleby set me up for many opportunities, including leadership positions within IRSAM. I was chief of staff for the Secondary Schools United Nations Symposium, and later vice president internal for the overall association. Not only did I learn a great deal through the work and many Model United Nations conferences, but I met amazing people from all around the globe, and we had a lot of fun. I am still in touch with many of those people today. The breadth and depth of what is now an Appleby diploma is amazing. Where do you find the time? The value of the many experiences in all their different forms is really something that I hope will stick with you. As individuals, everyone will take with them different memories, experiences, and perspectives, which will carry you to different places and stages and opportunities, both big and small. When reflecting back on 25 years post-graduation, it strikes me that the chance to return to a familiar place, my high school, for homecoming and other events, is comforting, partly because I'm connected to this place. I actually got married in this chapel. But beyond that, it is a place that signifies 3 significant years that were formative for me. Although lots has changed, both in my life and at the school, the community and the opportunity for connection and shared experience remain. And that is not always the case in other aspects of our lives. While I was at Appleby, we were the first cohort to have laptops, and what was known as e-school had just been introduced. Appleby was at the forefront of technology and education, and even so, I don't believe any of us could imagine just how fast technology would advance in the coming decades. Now, artificial intelligence is woven into our lives and the classroom, and we grapple with the pros and cons of its power and possibilities. The world is a complex place with a lot of uncertainty these days. As I work to implement strategies in health regulation, public policy, and good governance, the need to show up as one's authentic self, to be disciplined in listening, and to welcome diversity in all of its forms is essential to not only thriving at work, but also in our daily lives. Embracing and preparing for change while maintaining traditions and community is helpful as one navigates the world these days. Appleby seems to have embraced this. Earlier this year, I attended the Appleby Alumni Leaders Forum. This was an inspiring day where we contemplated how best to prepare Appleby to navigate societal changes and trends that will shape the future and education while continuing to foster resilience, innovation, and leadership. The collective insight and creativity of the alumni community is valuable and offers a great opportunity to strengthen critical thinking in strategic planning. I've come to appreciate that I can be a part of Applebee's ongoing growth long after my graduation. When Applebee contemplates risk and future impacts, the Applebee community as a whole is a part of that consideration, meaning it's not just about today's students, but also about future students and alumni and the ecosystems and communities in which the school exists. I'm in the midst of strategic planning at my organization and are using a human-centered design approach to help ensure that those we serve are central to our future priorities and activities. I believe that bringing people together from all walks of life and a variety of sectors will help navigate a rapidly changing world and uncertainty. The opportunity to learn from each other is great, and it's a lifelong journey. We have a chance to build the future together. To quote the amazing late Dr. Jane Goodall, who urged us all to remember, every single one of us makes a difference every day. It is up to us as to the kind of difference we make. I am grateful to have this opportunity to be here today to celebrate all of you, the current students and staff, and to be in the presence of those who came before us, to share a few thoughts and to reconnect. My hope for all of you is that you will take full advantage of life at Applebee and be true to yourself. Keep perspective in knowing that what is true today may not be so tomorrow, but the chance to learn is a gateway to the world. Here's to having fun and showcasing Applebee's spirit over the coming days in celebration of Homecoming 2025. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naja, for those very profound words. And yes, go Walker. Please bow your heads as comfortable. O God of wisdom and learning, may all who have gone out from Appleby College, whether far or near, recognize your presence in their lives. We want to thank you for all the members of the Appleby College community, both past and present, for teachers and staff who have taught and cared so deeply, for families who have been a support and source of strength, for the bonds of friendship, many of which will last a lifetime. Grateful for their love and labor, may we all use the gifts received in this place to embody Appleby's 4 core values of respect, responsibility, integrity, and compassion. Amen.
So there are a few times in the year that are really special occasions for me. One is the opening day of school, when we have our opening assembly and the tie ceremony right here. Graduation's another. And another one is actually this weekend, which starts actually today for our alumni. So it's homecoming. And today, we welcome back, we have at lunch at McLean House, at my home, we have what we call the 50-Year Club. And we have a number of representatives of the 50-Year Club here joining us. We have a couple of former faculty members. But in addition to that, we'll be having about 50 people for lunch today. The 50-Year Club is a collection of those graduates or those alumni who've come back to the school marking their 50th reunion or older. And so we have a real mix of people. We have, and I will tell you, the class of honors, the class of 1975, because they are celebrating the 50th year reunion. One thing I'm quite sure is they all feel much younger than a 50-year reunion might imply. And they probably are much younger. But in addition to that, we have someone coming back for his 70th reunion. Just think what that means. So he graduated 70 years ago. And we have someone also coming back who's not here for chapel, who's coming back for his 81st reunion from Appleby College. So he graduated 81 years ago. And in fact, he graduated the year after the photo on the front of the program was taken. Okay, so it's pretty extraordinary. I had mentioned to you that we stand on the shoulders of giants, and Nadja's experience 25 years ago was extraordinarily different than their experiences 50 years plus. And there's some elements which are common to your experience, but what connects us is a fiber of link that goes back to Walker and Guest, and a sense of commitment to our community and making the world a better place. So I'd like to have you all join me in offering a very warm Appleby student welcome to the members of the class of 1975 and older. Welcome back.
Before I get into the final blessing, once again, a huge thank you to the choir and supported by the Senior 1 and Senior 2 vocal class, who were singing that fantastic rendition of a real classic song, God Only Knows. Nice tie-in there, Mr. Van Nostrand. A huge thank you also to Ms. Nadja Gale for tying what her experience and hearing the resonating between her experience here, probably a lot of your experience as well, how it's different but very much the same, and how it kind of weaves, Appleby can really weave through what we do in our future in our lives. When we sing the closing hymn, we're doing it pretty good for time, so when we sing the closing hymn, after the closing hymn, Sarah will ask you to please be seated. She'll say faculty dismissed. That's also a chance for members of the 50-Year Club to also be dismissed because they have to get to their luncheon. Please remain in your seat until myself and Sarah dismiss you. Don't worry, you'll get to lunch well before anybody that's in class right now, so you have lots and lots of time. Please stand for the blessing. Go into the world in peace. Be courageous in heart and mind. Hold fast to what is good and just. Do not return hurt for hurt. Lift up those who are weary. Stand with those who are vulnerable. Bring comfort to the struggling. Show kindness to all. love and serve with joy, trusting in the Spirit who moves through us and among us. And may the blessing of God, source of life, ground of love and spirit of hope, be with all of us this day and always. Amen. And we'll sing hymn 565, Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah.